9 weeks out from open debut, back from Chicago. Welcome back to hot Texas, right? It's hard leaving that Chicago weather. It was like perfect up there, and now we're like in the high 90s, right at 100 degrees out here, and I'm standing outside. So anyway, going to the Open, doing the Legion Sports Festival. I know everybody was like, why isn't John doing the Open this year? That's what he talked about. Well, there was a plan, and looking at the calendar and also seeing my stage look, where my body weight was like sitting really on this cusp where to get down to 212, I had to make a little bit of sacrifice, but Atlanta was nice because I had nearly a 36-hour time to carb up. I do feel like my legs fade a little bit through holding that low. I think I could be a little heavier stage weight too, and I think just overall, like I'm fairly complete. There's still plenty of areas to progress if you wanted to do the Open, but I just want to see the look and have fun, basically. I think that's the big thing that we all do this for, is you never know how many more shows you might be doing, and to just get out there. And I love to compete. Atlanta kind of lit my fire. So I would like to hit a show before the Olympia, and the timeline worked out really well. When I looked at the calendar, Legion was 4 weeks before the Olympia. Usually I get lean pretty easily and early and can hold that condition well. So I can go out there and diet down. That week I don't have to try to make weight, so it's not this big stress on the body. Basically deload, bring some food up, and walk out there and just have a blast. And it gives me a chance to really assess where I stand in the Open. It looks like an amazing show. Tyler Mannion's judging, so I can get some really good standing of where I would need to head, and if I continue in the Open or if it was just a terrible idea, rather than not do it and have to wait till next year and then still go through the whole debate in my head of like 212 versus Open. So it really gives me some clarity. The timeline works out, and I just want to go have fun. No expectations, since I'm just the 212 little guy coming in, but if I beat some guys, hell yeah, plan to win the thing. Honestly, if I want a 212 show, I want an Open show, then went to Olympia, that would be amazing. And then I would still do 212 in Olympia though, because that is still my best shot at placing the best, and also where I can showcase and bring my best version of 212 ever, and that might be me riding off into the sunset and never doing 212 again. Also, the thing with the Open is that I want to teach people how to do this, and competing at the Open is truly what I see as being at the highest level, and I want to be able to self-coach and also share that process with you all. That's why I'm doing the Open, and we are now 9 weeks out. And what's cool, if you see down, we came back home, and right in that spot where it probably is too bright for you to see, we had a greenhouse that got wiped out, not on purpose. We demoed it, and we're building an outdoor kitchen because Renee's a cooking maniac right now. So she wants to grill. We're going to have a pizza oven out there and a griddle. So maybe you'll get Renee kicking off a cooking channel maybe. So where I'm currently at, coming back from Chicago, I was like 220 pounds right before I left, back to 224. And then throughout the week, I've been kind of dropping down to this like 221. So the plan, how do you plan for this really weird timeline post-show for doing multiple shows? And I had mapped it out that I had, let's see, like 12, let's see, is that right? 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, 12 weeks from Atlanta all the way to Legion. So a lot of this runs around like trying to have and reverse engineer the process. So how much fat loss time do you need? How much time can you have with food up? Then how much time does that allow for like having PEDs low and maintaining? So what I broke this down to, and currently like looking at my visuals, we'll pull these up, I'm still very conditioned and I'm really full. These were like, it's like 221, 222 fasted in the morning, 224-ish around the gym. So still have like glute lines in, and like I compare back to where I was dieting for the show. So this is about like 2.5 weeks out condition for me. So I know I need at least that much time to diet. I'm gonna account for a little bit extra time, like take 1 week off for peak week. Then also I'll just have to watch and see like the body fat accrual that happens over the next weeks, but make sure like I stay within that striking range of like, probably I was expecting maybe 5 weeks of fat loss phase. And so what that gives me now is coming into this next week, gear's been lower for the past 3 weeks. Food's been maintaining, been holding around this body weight. And so I'll have 3 weeks where I can escalate food, get some just great training in, and I'm gonna grow like 5 pounds of stage weight. No, that's not gonna happen. But it is what it is. Like if I have like some time to, gain some fullness and whatever, then kind of with food higher, come back into a fat loss phase, it should be extremely productive. And when I get to that 6 week out mark, I'll assess and I'll see like, all right, is body fat? Do I need to diet now? That might give me an extra week with food high, or it might not. So it's definitely, we just coach as we go, right? But the start of this week will be the end of this 3 week phase, and gear is going up. There's no escalation phase this time. It's going full back in what I was running right before I was walking into peak week, because I don't have a lot of time to slowly creep up gear. I want peak dosing right when I hit that fat loss phase. So all these esters need to accumulate in the system. Now, other things around this phase is that I have time to bring in some stuff that brings nice and fullness back. So like growth hormones coming back in. I'm using some insulin pre-workout, and because I have mainly a lot of carbs focused around that time. And that will be what current diet with food up now is 3,500 calories on train days, 300 grams of protein on off days and train days, 450 grams of carbs, 50 grams of fat. And on the non-train day, that drops to 250 grams of carbs and 65 grams of fat. So we should see body weight move up slowly, and that's kind of what I'm looking for in this phase. Steps are at 10,000 a day. There's no direct cardio work. Just try to really focus on like the thing, the hang up right now is just getting quality sleep. So I think with food coming up, that should be improving. So when I step back into that fat loss phase, I should feel extremely fresh from a recovery standpoint, and also it's string together some awesome training sessions, which we're gonna jump into a push session here, about to head to the gym. This is my pre-workout meal if you're interested of like, how's John using this insulin, and you're like, he's gonna grow so much using insulin. It's not really the case. But this meal, it's 300 grams of rice. I have bananas and dates, which is 20 grams of dates, 50 grams of banana, just because I like them, and 50 grams of whey. Then I also have my 2 caramel rice cakes with some banana on top. It's just, you enjoy your food. Enjoy your food. That's the main thing here, but it's primarily carbohydrate and protein based. So we'll take that and go into the gym with it and go through a push session. All right, so push session for the day. Last week is more of like my introductory week. It's back into training, bringing volume up slightly, keeping a bit more reserved in the RIR side, because then I had a week in Chicago where didn't train much really. So this week I'm kind of full throttle back into it. Split wise, nothing's really changed. Still hitting push, pull, off, push, pull legs. One thing that is coming up is volume. So for this push session and looking over stage fix, like everything that I had set up on the split developed pretty well. Again, like in this phase, I'm not necessarily growing, but don't write off the possibility of it. One thing I know I can always have more of is delt. Especially when you look at like these top 5 guys, like delt, tricep, it just stands out and proves like all the shots that I would need more of. Chest volume, I'm not bringing up much this week. It's staying at 6 sets. I had been up to like 8-9 sets in the off season, so we'll just start there with 6. Delt volume is coming up, so across the week I am adding in going from 8 sets to 12 sets, which is a good increase, but they can handle it. I'm gonna have 3 work sets of my leg day. So push session will be 4 sets, push session B will be 4 sets, then 3 sets on that leg day. So actually my math is wrong. It's 11 sets. For tricep work, 5 sets. So last week was 4 sets, bring in 5 sets. Off season peak volume was at 6 sets. So that's kind of the volume at least wise, and then effort level is going to be up higher as well. Completing the last rep under the same form, basically the grinder rep that I can complete on my own, but everything's still like, you'll see, form's precise, slow, controlled, doing some pauses every now and then. But let's jump into the session. Okay, so first lift, still starting with a prime machine lateral. I had gotten down just doing 2 sets of this, and so coming up to 3 sets for the week. Still loading the cam the same, so I warm up with it and loading the short end, so at the top it gets really hard. Helps with mind muscle connection, all that. Then my work sets, I move the cam to setting 5, so it loads the Lincoln. So 3 sets here. On this day I'll do lower reps. On my other push session I'll keep the reps a little higher. On my leg session I'll go even higher in reps, so up to like 20 reps. So 3 sets here. Again, like slow, controlled, being really intentional with the reps. Almost linear pause at the top and then controlling on the way down. Controlling the lateral on the way down gets so much out of it, and it'll ensure that you're using the delt to lift the weight and not your traps. So I actually went to the dentist. I had some like recession, some teeth. They're like, we think you might grind your teeth at night, or do you think you bite down in the gym? I'm like, no, I don't bite down in the gym. Of course not. So they made me a night guard. So it's real thin. It's hard plastic. I do wear it to sleep, so I can wear it in the gym. So I'm wearing it in the gym now, which it's kind of a mess to, they're like, would you mind like just drink water while you train? I'm like, can't just drink water while I train. But anyway, helpful, mindful thing is dental care. You know, bodybuilding, you need good teeth. So something to think about, getting a good mouthpiece from a dentist. But anyway, hitting the incline press now, just doing 2 sets here. Set up in the path where I get like good like upper pec contraction. Start rotating that arm, that elbow out too much, you start getting a lot on the front delt. So hips are just pulled out just a little bit to line up well for me. But man, I get an awesome upper pec connection set up that way. But just 2 sets here. All right, so did a hammer strength flat press next. This fucking thing. So this is more of my like shoulder-ish day. I don't do an overhead press. I just can't get in the position, and eventually this beats my shoulder joint up more. So start with a lateral, then an incline press, upper chest, delt, then a flat press. So that's the order for my delt. Call it my delt day. On the flat press, 2 sets there. You kind of notice like my incline press is more of a flat press and my flat press is more of a decline press. But that's how it lines up for me. Like for other people, it's going to be different. Like don't scoot your hips out just because I'm doing it. Find like just standing here, like where you feel your best pec contraction, right? So you might find that it's that decline angle where you feel a lot of lower pec. And then as you move up, just move your arm up where you feel the contraction. You feel it at the top of the pec, like that's where you should be lining up on the bench to set that torso angle up. So anyway, yeah, 2 sets on the flat press, wrap that one up. Okay, wrapping up chest work, just did a standing cable fly. I like a cable fly because it allows scapula just to move freely and go into some protraction, use the anterior serratus, which we don't use a lot of. We're always doing rows, pinning the scapula back, doing presses. So this movement actually allows you to try to, and I'm kind of pretty intentional with it, like wrapping that scapula around the rib cage, trying to pull that bicep around and really shorten the pec. So bicep to chest, getting a good shorting contraction with it. 2 sets here. Move on to tricep work. So tricep work, start with a push down. Do it bilateral today. I do like using the prime bar, the handles. This aligns well. I've been doing 2 sets on a push down and 2 sets overhead. So for my 1 set addition, I am adding it to the overhead as potentially that has the greatest hypertrophy ability, just loading the stretch position. So rather than adding it to the push down, do it for that reason. So push down, I'll do 2 sets, higher rep. Gets my elbows warm and just feels better moving into a stretch tricep position afterwards. And so doing them still single arm overhead, as I just feel like I can position myself a lot more efficiently. If I had a dual cable setup, I would opt for that, but I don't have that right now. So I'll do a push down for 2 sets, then do 3 sets overhead. All right, with tricep work wrapped up, I'm just gonna move on to calves. Pretty straightforward here. I got down to doing 2 sets twice a week of calf work, so moving that up this week back to 3 sets twice a week, and we'll eventually get to my 4 sets twice a week of calves. So 3 sets, I do a toe press off a leg press, as it's like super braced and controlled that way. Slow eccentric, pause in the stretch. I don't worry if I can't fully lock it out, mainly working that like pretty much 80-90% from the bottom to the top range of motion. But anyway, that wraps up push session for the day. Oh, back home from the gym, had a great session today. I'll keep these updates rolling as we keep getting deeper in, and with a lot of some of the dietary changes we talked about earlier, I am starting to switch more of this stuff to less fibrous sources. So like you saw my pre, it's all like rice based, when before it was a lot of oats. So trying to maintain a fiber amount to keep digestion, because what you might want to do initially when you come post show and food's getting up is keep eating more and more of the high fiber stuff. That you want some huge bowl of oatmeal. It eventually, like, you're going to be walking around with a big distended belly all day. So to keep like training vacuums and keep your waist intact and training that part of it, have to start bringing in just more easily digested food items and maintaining the fiber intake. We do still have some flexibility in the diet as well. So Renee and I are going out on a date night. She eats more liberally than I do, so I'll usually, sometimes I bring my salad with me. I'll have some sashimi, maybe like one basic roll or some nigiri. So still like going out, but it's very much measurable. Like I've even like weighed out my stuff at the restaurant, but usually it's like sushi. That won't last for very long. And also I know the next day, like if it's impacting me or not too. So anyway, that's it guys, 9 weeks out. Keep the updates coming. We'll talk to you next time.